Let's attach these two pieces together. So again, edit poly and attach. It'll just make it easier for us to work on it. We'll go back into view mode here. I'm going to rotate it around a little bit. Looks like our underlying texture is just a bit off when it comes to the corner there. We'll look at that in a minute, but what I want to do here is go into vertex mode, select the ones at the top and pull them back so they better intersect the actual geometry here. Alright, let's shift click a copy out again. Or shift drag a copy, I should say. And we're going to mirror it in the X. Again, let's we'll probably adjust our geometry here in a minute. Let's get these copied out first. So we're going to select both of those and we're going to shift drag a copy again. We're going to mirror it in the Y. Okay, let's just shift drag one copy out here. We'll do a rotation, again with angle snap turned off. Shift drag a copy down, and again we're going to mirror it in the Y. Select both of those and shift a copy over and mirror in the X. Jump into our orthographic here quickly. Shift click a copy again, and shift drag a copy again. Again, we're going to rotate it. Now, this one we actually have to move this one in a little, so I'm just going to try and get into a viewport here where I can see what I'm doing. We'll go into vertex mode and we will select those and select those, and we're going to move them in. Just the top ones and move them back a little. Okay, let's shift drag a copy down. Again, back into the mirror tool. I'm going to rotate it just a little bit. Okay, that's while we're down here, shift drag another copy out here. And shift drag one more out here. And we'll do the same thing at the top. So shift drag a copy. I'm also going to rotate it around just a little bit. Same with this one. I'll shift drag one more copy. Again, I'm more concerned with the geometry and less with the texture in the background at the moment. I actually want to move these in just a little bit. Alright, now let's do, we're nearly done. We can take this into Substance Painter in a sec. Let's do these corners actually. So I'm going to shift out, drag a copy out. We'll rotate it around. Again, shift drag a copy, and we're going to use the mirror tool in the I'll jump into my orthographic here and have a look at what's going on here. Okay, we want it to be in the... Let's just remove that for a moment. So, shift drag a copy. You want to mirror it in the X direction, not the Y. Alright, let's select both of those and shift drag a copy again. And this one we want to mirror in the Y. We're going to position them separately though. And you'll see the underlying texture here is quite off compared to the top. So I think the best thing to do will be to, like I said, pay less attention to our texture in the background and more attention to our geometry itself. So I'm going to move this one over. And I'm going to move this one over a little bit as well. Okay. And shift drag a copy down. We'll rotate it around. Again, I'm just going to jump into my orthographic to make sure that that looks correct. Okay, we'll shift drag a copy out. We're going to mirror again in the X direction. Select both of them, shift drag a copy. We're going to mirror in the Y. And again, it's going to be easier for me to do these individually. Okay, I think we will, that should be okay. I know we have a couple more lines here, but like I said, we're not paying really any attention to the texture in the background. I'm going for more balance in the geometry itself, and that should be fine. Okay, let's start putting all of this together. So we're going to decide what color we want what before we UV map it so we can take it into Substance to paint it up. And I think, again, we want to try and bring in, to make all of our assets in the Art Deco building look consistent. And because we're using gold in parts of our metalwork here, and also on the top of our decorative urns here on the corners, I want to try and bring some of that gold into the rest of the level as well, as much as I can. Because it's a light fitting though, we're not going to be using wood, but I do want to use that gold, and I also want to use the wrought iron again. Try and tie everything together. It's important when you're doing your levels or creating any design, you try and tie everything together as much as you can. So why don't we do that here with our light fitting. And I think these rings will look nice in gold, and also think these rings would look nice in gold as well. So what I'm going to do is open up my material editor. We have our plain colors set out for our multi-material IDs, so let's work with those. The gold is this brown color, so let's just assign that to these rings. Okay, we also want gold on these inner rings here, so let's assign the same color again. And everything else is going to be wrought iron. So we can, let's do our attaches first, I think. So we'll start here. We're in edit poly mode. I'm just going to start attaching these pieces together. It makes no difference what order we go in, we can attach them in any order. Okay, so that's all of our straight pieces all attached together. Let's just assign again a plain colour to that. So we'll go with the blue. All right. Now before I start UV mapping these, these are all grouped together, so we really should ungroup them. With Max, with a grouped object, you can throw an unwrapped UVW down and map it as a group, and you can then ungroup it. We'll do it the other way though. We'll ungroup. I'm going to select one of those rings, throw an unwrapped UVW down, and we'll open up our editor, UVW editor. It has no texture, so we don't have to pick our texture here. It's just a plain colour. I'm going to select all the polys. I'm going to have a look at what it's doing here. Okay. I just want to see how it's UV mapped that piece of geometry. So what I'm going to do is just jump into my editor here. I'm going to assign a texture that I don't want there, but I just want to see what it's done with the UV mapping by default. Okay. Alright, let's go back to our original texture, or plain colour. I'm going to open my UVW editor again. I'm going to select all those UVs. I'm going to move them out of the 0 to 1 space. Going to go through my objects one by one here. And again, they're all because I use Max's built-in primitive, the UV mapping on them should be okay, but we are going to have to make sure that we're not overlapping our UVs. So I'm just going to have to unwrap 4 of them by hand, or just move the UVs by hand on 4 of them. And there's a method to my madness. We'll see what I'm doing in just a minute. So we have, I've unwrapped 4 of them and moved the UVs out of the 0 to 1 space. Now I'm going to select one, thread in an edit poly, and I'm going to attach these other 3 to that one. I'm going to throw down another unwrap UVW. Now we have all of our UVs outside of the 0 to 1 space. We can select them all. We'll scale them down. And we should be able to just make sure we move them all now into the 0 to 1 space. because again, we don't want them to be overlapping. If you're taking anything into a 3D paint program to paint a texture on, or even in Substance's case, we're using physically based materials, it's still painting a texture on an object. You don't want to have an overlapping UV set. Just placing these roughly in line with each other. Line this way, that is. So I can select them all, and we're going to move them over. I'm just going to scale them up as much as I can to fit that 0 to 1 space without going outside of the 0 to 1 space. And again, that's so I can take advantage of as much of the UV texture space as I can when I do my texturing. That should be good. We're using a lot of most of the space, but we're still within the 0 to 1 UV. Okay. Let's copy that unwrap UVW. We'll select this group and I'm going to ungroup them. Back to the first one in the group, and I'm going to attach the other 3. And with a bit of luck we should be able to paste our UV unwrap. I'm going to open my editor. And our UVs are still within the 0 to 1 space again. We don't have to do it again by hand, so that should be good. Let's keep doing that for the others. And just attach these 3 together. Paste our unwrap UVW again. I always like to double check by opening it up to make sure that they are correct, and they are. Because you never know. Ungroup. Attach. And paste. And double check. Yep. Okay, we'll attach these 3 together. Paste our UV. Check it's correct, and it is. And that looks good. You must be nearly round to the beginning again, surely. No, not quite. Ungroup. Attach. Paste our UVs in. And double check to make sure they're correct. And they are. You see, I have a problem with my geometry intersecting here. I'll look at that in a moment once I finish UV mapping these rings. I'll probably have to alter the underlying geometry. Ungroup. And we'll attach these ones together. Paste our UVs in and make sure that they're correct. And they are. Are we back to the beginning yet? No, not yet. Oh, no, we are. We're back. Okay, good. Alright, let's look at that underlying geometry problem here. Looks like I forgot to add these ones to the other, so let's just select that. And we're going to attach these straight edges. Okay, let's look at the rings at the bottom now. And again, I'm going to do an unwrap UVW. Let's see what it's doing. Oh, for this one, I think I'll do a flatten mapping. Yeah, we'll do a flatten mapping here. Again, I'm going to pull it out of the 0 to 1 space. I'm going to select the next ring, unwrap, open our editor, and we'll do another flatten mapping. And again, we're going to move it out of the 0 to 1. Alright. Let's throw down and edit poly. And we're going to attach the outer ring to the inner ring. Again, another unwrap UVW. Alright, now we'll select all of our UVs here and scale them back. Move them into the 0 to 1 space. Now you've noticed I've left quite a bit empty here. That's because we're going to have to attach our rings. I want them all as one object when we start painting in substance. So to make sure I don't get an overlap, I'm just going to move them out of 0 to 1 for a moment. I'm going to collapse my stack. I'm going to select our rings here, and again we've got them all, they're all going to have overlapping UVs, so what we're going to have to do is collapse the stack, throw down and unwrap again, open our editor, and we're just going to have to again move them out of the 0 to 1 space. Just open our UV here on the unwrap UVW that's already on there. Now I have to move them out of, I'm moving them out of 0 to 1 space because we're going to have to attach all of these pieces together. And if I don't do it before I move them, it's going to be harder for me to select the right UVs, so. It doesn't matter where I put them outside of the 0 to 1, just as long as it is outside of 0 to 1 space and it's not overlapping another one that I'm going to be attaching in just a minute. Okay, we're back to the beginning. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do an edit poly. And I'm going to attach all of these rings together as one object. We're going to throw down one more unwrap UVW. And we have all of our UVs separated here, so what we can do is just going to make sure those ones are together. Now I'm just going to line them all up. I think there might be one more set, I thought there was. Zoom out to make sure I'm not forgetting any, and that looks like all of them. I'm going to scale them back. Again, until I can get them all to fit in this 0 to 1 space without overlapping. Just lining them up a little bit better here. Yeah, it should do. I'm going to collapse my stack again. Now I'm going to save my file really quickly. Now I'm going to attach those two rings at the bottom. Throw down one more unwrap UVW. And move the remaining UVs into the 0 to 1 space. Like that. Now everything is UV'd correctly for the gold part of that paint. I'm just going to turn off my map seams here. So all we have left to UV now is the straight sections, which we will tackle tomorrow, and then we can take it into Substance Painter tomorrow to do the texturing, and then we can take it into Unreal. Again, the most fiddly part of the UV mapping is done. These straight sections can just be flattened mapped before we take it into Substance to paint it up, which we'll do tomorrow. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me and for watching. I will be back on again tomorrow at 5 PM Pacific time in the United States. I stream every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 PM Pacific time in the US. That's 10 AM in Australia and 1 AM in the UK. I always post 15 minutes to my Twitter page at PhilDoes3D if you're not sure, so you can keep an eye on my Twitter page there, because I will post 15 minutes before the channel goes live. I will be back on again tomorrow though, like I said. I do want to thank you guys very much for hanging out and for watching. I appreciate that. I hope you guys have a good night, and I will see you guys tomorrow. See you guys.